This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map, Infinity Isle. Spawning over here on the left side as the Orange Allies. This is Happy. And on the right side as the Yellow Soviets, you know him, you love him. Give a cheer for Dimon! For those of you guys who have been watching for a little while, you may remember, I believe it was on Infinity Isle, 100 years ago, or about a year ago. I cast a game between this guy named Dimon and this other guy who I didn't know at the time, named Malkaji or something. Turns out that was Dimon and Happy, so this is a rematch featuring two of the best players in the game, and they are back in this one-off. Of course, these guys have played a lot over the years, and especially in the last year, with Happy absolutely rising to dominance, although to be fair, I do believe he was playing a number of years ago as well. I seem to remember him a little bit from 2015, maybe? But Dimon and Happy, both absolute powerhouses, and back in the day, a year ago, I was casting them. I didn't even realize the powerhouses that I was casting. Well, I did know Dimon. But we got a fast airfield opening coming out from Happy, a couple of Vindicators, and then of course you guys saw the flak cannon coming out from Dimon, and now the triple bullfrog as the follow-up. Got a couple of bears hanging out at the water expansion, delaying that perhaps by a moment, but also requiring both Vindicators to turn around, cross the map, and drop their bombs there instead of doing anything useful like hitting bullfrogs, reactors, terror drones, literally anything else, forcing those Vindicators back and over there just to deny a little bit of that expansion timing. So overall, what a great start from these two guys for a standard, straight up, hopefully long and epic game between these two players. Vindicators taking a little bit of damage crossing over the middle of the map. Bullfrogs now going to be cutting into Happy's main base. No real threats to oppose them at the current moment, but of course they're far away from the Vindicators as well. The Terror Drone is going to be heading out to the water. Riptide going to get stopped momentarily, and of course this Terror Drone can't do anything to infect this Prospector with the Naval Yard so close, so it will just delay the harvesting by just a moment before anything really happens. Multi-gunner turret up and running, able to snipe one of those Terror Drones, I do believe, and the second one does escape away to the north. Terror Drone gets the drop on the MCV. Riptide as well, although no, in fact, not forcing the MCV to drive back to the airfield. One Vindicator goes down. A nice catch there by Dimon. All three Bullfrogs do survive the engagement, and they're just going to camp out near this airfield, trying to go for another guaranteed kill, keeping those Vindicator numbers down, stopping your opponent from transferring those Vindicators into a cryocopter attack force is absolutely great as the Soviet player, forcing the Allied player to continue to draft 1,200 credits on those Vindicators is absolutely phenomenal. But it is not meant to last as Dimon cuts away to the south, escapes with his Bullfrogs, and a successful run against the reactor maybe slows Dimon down just a smidge, but he's got that super reactor, so he's not terribly worried about it. Super reactor finishing up kind of late, but not necessarily terribly late. Not too much to be worried about, although third refinery timing could be a little quicker for Dimon. He's going to be probably looking to even things up economy-wise, as Happy is poised to take a fourth refinery. It could be quite problematic if Happy is allowed to stick on that 4 refinery, 1 oil derrick. He actually never got the oil derrick because of the fast airfield. I completely missed that he did not ever get that engineer, so he's been missing out on a little bit of that income. But Dimon is going to want to do something about the 4 refinery even versus 4 refinery economy of his own once he gets up to that level. Bullfrogs once again crossing the middle of the map. A couple of hammer tanks accompanying them as well. This is now 4 Bullfrogs and 2 hammer tanks. Not really an army to be worried about, but there isn't a whole lot here to contest, with Happy delaying his army production so much by getting out the faster expansions and the 4 Bullfrogs. He has a bit of lack of stuff on the ground, and of course, I believe the boot camp was here on the high ground, and it's no longer around. Bullfrogs step forward. They clean up 1 Vindicator, trading it out for 1 hammer tank and Now a bullfrog gets caught as well. 3 bullfrogs going to try to escape to the south as this hammer tank going for the kill on the prospector. And again, slowing down the economy of the allied player, always going to be something on your list as a Soviet player. They can be so much more efficient with their units. You have to be careful about cutting down their economy to stop that efficiency from just going bananas. And the hammer tank may end up getting trapped in this area and having to blast his way out, but he's going to go for the kill on the prospector no matter what. Great control by Happy, controlling that prospector, forcing the sell-off of the naval yard and the refinery out here on the water. And this is great from Dimon. He sells off the naval yard to follow that up, gets himself a little bit of cash back. 2 Akula subs patrolling the waters for the rest of the game could be a long-term winning move. Those Akula subs aren't going to do critical damage to the infrastructure of your opponent. But 1 Vindicator going down, the other 3 do manage to escape, and a second airfield on the high ground is going to force this attack away. The hammer tank going down, the bullfrog going down, signaling the end of this aggression from Dimon. I love this move by Happy, jumping in here with a couple of javelin troopers. Don't need to do a lot of damage, but killing off that oil derrick as you take your own oil derrick a little bit later than you would have liked, but you take your own oil derrick nonetheless, and they may actually get the kill on the conscript because of how little damage conscripts actually do. That one is for the meme makers over on Reddit because of the hilarity of that kind of concept in a anti-infantry versus anti-vehicle matchup. Akula subs, once again, just patrolling around. I love that he's keeping these guys active and doing as much as he can with them. 1 harvester down. Dimon down to just 3 active harvesters as he's established himself out on the water. Going to be dropping a crusher crane out there as well just to keep that harvester up and running nice and healthy for as long as possible. 4 Vindicators coming in, swinging in through the south. Happy looking to strike down possibly the refinery. Yeah, it takes a couple of bombing runs to actually get the kill, but weakening that point is definitely something that isn't a bad idea if you have no other soft targets to hit with your Vindicators. An opening like dealing half damage to a refinery is not a bad idea. Cryocopter now on the field. The Tier 2 has been purchased by Happy. Barracks being reestablished. We saw the Bears coming out earlier to deal with the Javelin Troopers. It's a nice addition to mix in some infantry into your army, especially if you want to, use some flak troopers to try and bolster your bullfrog numbers. Although maybe we'll be lucky, we'll see a Tesla trooper. Most likely not, but perhaps the gods will smile upon us, and actually going to be sending the engineer into the refinery, not going to stick around to just go for the slow old repair. A curious move there by Dimon, but he really wants to make sure that that ore refinery does not go down, investing the extra 500 credits to keep it safe. Naval Yard here on the low ground by Dimon, and he's going to be able to potentially take a 5th refinery. And 5 refineries versus the 3 or 4 of his allied opponent is definitely going to be a more comfortable position. A lot of posturing in this game overall, trying to reposition yourself to be in a slightly better position, and a lot of corralling by Dimon. This feels like very much a game where he's trying to keep it from getting away from him. He's been on the cusp, the edge maybe, of this game getting out of control, but he's trying desperately to keep it just barely inside of his control. I think a flak cannon may have just been eliminated there as a second Tesla coil goes down. Hydrofoil, a couple of dolphins in the north. No riptides, no, it's just dolphins, Vindicators, and a hydrofoil way up there. But do my eyes deceive me? No, that's a Tier 3 purchase. We most likely have an aircraft carrier on the way for Happy, and that is where things are going to be really shaken up. Cryo shot firing off there, freezing the harvester for a moment, but no guaranteed kill by Happy. And a bear sneaking through the defenses of Happy to get a little bit of a scout off there for Dimon, and he's now starting to pump out MiGs to counter the Apollos that I believe we saw a little while ago from Happy. Satellites dropping down on, I'm guessing, a reactor and a ore refinery as the low power mode there is activated for Happy. And get out your clappers or get ready to type in the chat about how angry you are about allied aircraft carriers, because either way, if you're happy about it or you're sad, clap your hands. Happy is very happy about this. Ore refinery under threat, as the Bullfrogs are going to have a hard time stopping that. The Akula subs would be great here, but of course with the hydrofoil, with the Dolphins, with all of the defense surrounding that aircraft carrier, 2 Akula subs wouldn't be nearly enough to break that position. And from here on out, there is so much pressure on Dimon. He's going to be down to 4 refineries very soon, which, you know, is technically still ahead, but not in the way that you want to be when your opponent's got an aircraft carrier, got the potential for EMPs, got cryocopters, and is still doing all right in the rest of the Army department. Those Vindicators sharking somewhere around the map, even a couple of Dolphins here in the south looking to do some damage as the Vindicators retreat from that ore refinery. Having done some good damage, Twin Blade's going to swing around to the south, able to push away the Dolphins, but the Apollos are there to support, keeping the Dolphins alive and forcing away those Twin Blades. Hydrofoil right on the edge there of the black hole armor is not going to actually take any damage from the Akula sub. As 1 Akula sub, a 2nd Akula sub coming on out, 3rd one going to be on the way for Dimon. And he's continuing this dance between the Twin Blades and the Apollos here in the south, trying to keep that refinery alive. And I think sending engineers into this refinery, keeping it alive and stopping that aircraft carrier from doing any more damage. A different player would just go for the death of the refinery and wouldn't actually keep it alive in the way that we see Dimon doing. And he's barely not going to make the timing here with his final engineer, the EMP, locking down both of those Akula subs, but they do manage to escape underneath the surface, and they will survive for now. A 5th refinery coming back up for Dimon. He's trying to get back onto his feet, but he's going to have a hard road to hoe over here in the north against the Allied Navy. This is so many assault destroyers and so much potential with the EMP of this aircraft carrier. Nice control there by Happy, assuming that he's starting to rotate out his aircraft carriers to get maximum damage output and maximum effectiveness. Although those Akula subs just got some free damage off, and if you keep up that kind of a pattern with careful control, Dimon might be able to whittle away at this army. The hydrofoil is on the not quite in the correct position to hold off those Twin Blades. They do come forward, trying to draw out the hydrofoil to make the most of the situation. He's going to be able to pepper down some of these assault destroyers. Nice control there by Happy, trying to stop these Akula subs from actually breaking down these assault destroyers, trying to activate a double black hole armor and trying to micro them, but it's not quite working out with the positioning as the Bullfrogs come in. Going to be potentially cutting off the hydrofoil getting infected, but the cryocopters getting cut off by the Bullfrogs. A great move there. A clinic in how to just set up and tear down with Dimon. I mean, a lesser player would have engaged that worse at a well, now it's kind of falling apart as the Bullfrogs get picked off by the assault destroyers, but a lesser player would have pulled apart or tried to pull Happy apart a little bit differently, and the units wouldn't have lined up like that, but he totally broke the front line of Happy's assault, and now he's got an opportunity to separate the assault destroyers, the hydrofoils, and the aircraft carriers to take them each down independently of each other. Looks like a Twin Blade going down potentially to an Apollo there in the south as the war rages on with the navies in the north. The hydrofoil doing what it can to stop the Akula subs, but there's too many Akula subs. Great move bringing the Vindicators in here, but the hydrofoil finally goes down. The Bullfrogs are a little bit too late to protect against these cryocopters as this assault destroyer pops out at the last second to try and save this aircraft carrier from 4 Akula subs. Is it meant to be? Dimon loses 2 Akula subs as the 4th one tries to escape. The combination assault destroyer and Vindicator is maybe too much for this Soviet force. Fully heroic goes the aircraft carriers. The assault destroyer barely survives the onslaught of the Twin Blades. And the satellites raining down, trying to find their mark as the Akula sub sneaks through the defenses and sinks the aircraft carrier. Dimon, so close to defeat, has beaten back the Allied forces, has controlled his army and his unit composition just well enough to break apart Happy's attack, and Happy is very sad about that aircraft carrier going down. The Vindicators a moment too late to rain down bombs upon the Akula sub, and with its heroic speed boost and life regen, it's going to be able to escape. The hydrofoils are no more. The production has been shut down. These assault destroyers need Apollos to keep them safe against these Twin Blades. No. The hydrofoil is technically here, and with black hole armor, it can survive, but it's going to be a tight move no matter what. Double flak cannon in the south cleans up a Vindicator. Happy is getting sloppy. He's starting to make those mistakes that are going to potentially tear him apart or allow Dimon to get in there and do too much damage. Dimon, those engineers prolonging those refineries may have actually won him the game. Stopping that aircraft carrier from continuing to hamper him, yeah, it's 500 credits. You got to spend it to just stay alive, but that delay may have been the thing that won him the game, and the fact that he's still got that refinery on the high ground is also fantastic for him. Having to rebuild one refinery and spending some engineers is much better than having to rebuild 3 or 4 refineries. EMP going to be firing off to the center of the map, trying to hit those hammer tanks. It locks down 3 of them, but there's nothing on Happy's side of the map to be able to clean up those hammer tanks. So it's just a delay tactic. It's just a scare tactic to try and push those hammer tanks away, as Dimon has been rebuilding his army while the war has been raging out on the water. He's got himself a lovely little ground army as the MiG missiles getting pulled down to attack the assault destroyer. I have no idea what kind of damage that actually does to the assault destroyer, as the Apollo is going to be flying over, pushing away that MiG, trying to keep those cryocopters alive. As, I don't know what that was. Was that Vindicator? Something cleaning up 2 hammer tanks there on the center ridge. The MiG's getting split up. They're trying again to go for those cryocopters, but the split might be too good with the black hole armor keeping those cryocopters alive, and the Apollos showing up to rescue them and keep them from getting destroyed. Aircraft carrier, it was putting pressure on something. I couldn't actually tell what it was attacking. Happy has been getting pulled in so many directions, and he's been trying desperately to mount a successful assault, trying to utilize his artillery advantage, but it's literally just not working. Normally, the guy who gets the artillery so much earlier than the other one has much more of a clear-cut advantage, but in this case, it's just simply not working out. Dimon may be getting a little bit sloppy activating those that torpedo special ability, thinking it'll get pulled in by the black hole armor, but it didn't quite there, and I think he completely missed with that ability. Locking down this aircraft carrier via MiGs. It's not a long-term strategy, but it's something that can work in a pinch just for a moment. Akula sub split up against aircraft carrier and assault destroyers. As the cryocopter is going to come in, they've got the shrink ray to lessen the damage, but this aircraft carrier is taking a lot of punishment. Bullfrogs showing up a little bit too late to push away the cryocopters. The Akula subs have already been called off. The retreat has happened. The engineer standing by a destroyed refinery is once again. Dimon is going to have to rebuild that spot, but hey, it's so much better than having to rebuild so much more. 2, 3 twin blades go down as the Apollos clear the skies. The Akula subs rushing in once more to try and clean up this naval armada, but it's not working this time. What was a clear-cut win before is a little bit longer and a little bit slower. The Terror drone going to be coming in here as well, and where are the cryocopters? They're unsafe with the bullfrogs nearby, and this aircraft carrier might once again be getting separated from the rest of the army of Happy and completely surrounded. That aircraft carrier unable to be protected by the assault destroyer, locked down by that Terror drone, and the MiG showing up a little bit too late for the cryocopters, which are over there over the land, but just in time to watch the last hydrofoil die. And finally on the water once again, but this time with an overwhelming number of Akula subs, Dimon breaks through Happy's front line in the south. Happy with a Dolphin trying to break the expansion of Dimon, and that's a good move, but the amount of army that was just lost out there on the water may be too much for Happy. Striking down the refinery, absolutely great. And actually, these cryocopters, they're going to be able to push forward, but now they've got nothing on the ground to shoot whatever they freeze. They're going for the war factory. They're going to try and go for the big kills, shutting down the war factory and then potentially the super reactor while the Vindicators refuel and rearm back at base. This may be just enough time. The MiGs nowhere near to touch these Apollos, and this one Bullfrog coming in, but it's shrunk down. It is destroyed, and just in time, the war factory unfreezes as a second Bullfrog from the naval yard shows up, and Happy is trying to scrounge a victory out of something, but he's running out of freeze rays to keep Dimon down. An additional Bullfrog is not being produced. This is it for the production. He stopped for some reason. No MiGs, no Bullfrogs. Dimon is looking elsewhere on the map, perhaps. That MCV going extremely low on health as a As it turns out, a Dreadnought has been produced. Airfield goes down, and the Bullfrog, too little, too late. Dimon slacked on the production, and he's going to try and get it with the satellites as that Athena cannon is trying desperately to keep that MCV alive, and he goes for the cap of the observation post. He doesn't go for the MCV with his engineer. There's the freeze complete as the crane gets shut down. The MCV will be the only production queue, but it's going to be up to the flak troopers to try and clear the skies. The Dreadnought, just about the only thing out on the water, and it may be able to finally finish off the MCV. No, the engineer jumps in at just the last minute. The rebuild of the barracks, enough to keep Happy in this game, as those are not friendly palm trees. All of them, I guess 2 of them, are okay, but the third one is a little bit dangerous. The Dreadnought gets eliminated, the Vindicators having done their work, and Dimon's naval forces devastated. Only one Akula sub remains. No naval yard, no crane out on the water. Dimon, perhaps at the cusp of victory, but not close enough to grasp it fully. He's going to have to try and pull something out against a higher tech, but a pretty low health army. I mean, to be honest, most of these allied units are a couple of shots away from being cleaned up. And infantry, while technically killed very easily by peacekeepers and Mirage tanks, they can potentially kill those Mirage tanks and those Athena cannons extremely quickly if they can close that kind of a distance. Trying to go for the spread of damage as the Mirage tank's going to be stepping forward. One of them potentially going down. As was that a snipe from Natasha? I don't actually know where Natasha is, but that Mirage tank not engaging in this battle. No, it is going to be pulling back. I would have swore that that was neutral for a moment there, but I don't see Natasha out on the field. MCV of Dimon taking a lot of damage from those Athena cannons. Is he trying to keep them in place? He may have actually been trying to keep them in place so that he could get the kill on the Athena cannons with his V4s. Out on the water, no naval yard for Dimon. He's not going for a sneaky rebuild. He's lost the high ground, and he may have no way to reclaim it. Happy with some real perseverance has managed to stick it through at least this far to the end. With how back and forth this game has been, I'm not confident that somehow Dimon won't pull things out from under Happy. But Happy is feeling a little bit better right now. His cryo shot is almost probably recharged at this point. And Dimon is not the threat out on the water that he once was. Trying to press the artillery advantage a little bit further is Dimon. He's going for the Rain of Death here in the middle of the map. But I think Happy is just happy to pull back a little bit and let Dimon come to him for a little while longer. This one Dolphin is not quite going to be enough to contest with all those Tesla coils, but it will be enough to just skate around the map and make sure that there's no expansion down here or anything like that. Dimon, he's got artillery, but he does not have much in terms of ground forces. And by the moment, Happy's army grows bigger and bigger. Vindicators in the north, poking in. I think they just cleaned up a Tesla coil. And Happy has learned to not build anything out on the water. It's too costly for him. That's almost where he simply lost this game out there on the water. This MCV completely unprotected. This is going to go in a flash of light from those high-tech allied lasers. The infantry charging forward, but they are into a meat grinder of Mirage tanks, and you need a little bit more health and a little bit more power to bust through those Mirage tanks. The hammer tanks are potentially the way to do that, but with so many of them getting shrunken and frozen, it's going to be a hard ask for Dimon to pull something out at this point. He's going to try and bleed off the Mirage tanks here in the south, but he himself is bleeding off hammer tanks almost in equal numbers. If he can separate out these Mirage tanks, it's 2-2, it's 2-1. Happy has broken Dimon on all fronts, and the GG gets called. Happy pulling it out in the end, and Dimon losing that naval force in the north was the thing that broke him. that last time that he lost his navy, he was not able to come back from that. But really a great game between these two, a great back and forth between Dimon and Happy, both of them playing very well, but in the end, Happy breaking the navy in the north, and then that, of course, led him to be able to break Dimon on land. That will do it for this game. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Sybert, signing out.